Vatican's Hidden Garden exposed. Welcome to our channel, where every story holds a spark of hope and wonder. We're so glad you're here with us today. As you listen, we invite you to be part of our journey. Drop a comment below and let us know where in the world you're watching from. Your voice matters to us. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we have another heartfelt story waiting just for you. Until then, sit back, open your heart, and let the magic of stories bring us all a little closer. Welcome, dear traveler, to a place where stories are not just told, but felt, where each word is a bridge between hearts across the world. Thank you for choosing to spend a few moments of your day with us. Here, every tale you hear is woven with care, meant to inspire, to comfort, and sometimes to awaken something quietly waiting inside of you. As you settle in, we invite you to pause for just a moment and share a little about yourself. In the comments below, let us know where you are watching from. Your city, your country, your little corner of this vast, beautiful world. It amazes us every day how stories can travel across oceans, across mountains, across every invisible line, to reach a soul miles and miles away. Your presence here means more than you know. We believe that a simple story can connect strangers, heal old wounds, and light a path where before there was only darkness. That is why every day we bring you a new journey, sometimes small and tender, sometimes vast and unforgettable. And tomorrow there is another waiting for you, a story that may just find a place in your heart. So if you haven't already, we warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel. Subscribing isn't just about following, it's about becoming a part of something. A growing circle of listeners and dreamers. A quiet family built on hope, kindness, and the simple belief that words still have the power to change the world. Every time you like, comment, or share these moments with us, you help keep that flame alive. You remind us, and the world, that even across distance, even across difference, we are never truly alone. We are connected by invisible threads, stitched together by shared dreams and gentle courage. As you listen to today's story, and as you wait for tomorrow's, know this: you are part of this journey now. Every listener shapes the story just by being here, just by listening with an open heart. Thank you again for being with us today. May today's story leave a light in your heart, and may tomorrow's bring you back to this place of wonder once more. Until then, take a deep breath, relax, and let's step into the story together. It all began on a night when the Vatican was supposed to sleep under a blanket of silence. But sometimes the walls of even the oldest cities hold secrets they can no longer keep. In the shadow of St. Peter's Basilica, a single figure moved quietly through the mist. No grand robes, no flashing cameras, just a worn cloak, and a purpose too heavy to carry alone. It was Sister Lucia, the same young woman who just days before had promised Pope Francis that she would complete his final request. The letter he had given her remained pressed against her heart, wrapped in trembling hands. No one else knew. No one else could understand. The Pope's last words echoed in her mind. When the bells fall silent, go to the garden. The garden was not on any map. It was older than the walls around it, hidden beneath centuries of marble and memory. Only the true keepers of the Vatican's soul knew its path. Lucia's footsteps splashed through shallow puddles as she moved deeper into the heart of the city. Rain hammered against the stones, erasing her tracks as if the earth itself was trying to swallow her mission whole. When she reached the old iron gate, she hesitated. It was rusted shut, unmoved for decades. She pulled out the key, no bigger than a button, dull and simple. The same key Pope Francis had once carried inside his own pocket. As she slid it into the lock, she whispered a prayer, not of fear, but of hope. The gate groaned, then yielded. Inside, the world changed. The rain softened into mist. The air grew thick with the scent of olive trees and old earth. In the center of the garden stood a statue, not of saints or kings, but of two hands open and reaching, holding nothing and everything at once. Lucia approached, heart pounding. She unfolded the letter under the cover of her cloak, shielding it from the mist, And there, in the Pope's own hand, she read, "When power forgets kindness, let the children remind us. When walls rise higher than hearts, tear them down with stories, with song, with laughter that cannot be caged." Tears blurred her vision. She understood now. This wasn't a command to save a building or protect a tradition. It was a call to protect what made them human. Behind her, a sound, soft, hesitant. She turned. Children. At first one, then two, then a dozen. Refugees from the streets, from wars, from forgotten alleys, had found their way through the broken gate, drawn by a whisper the world had forgotten. Lucia dropped to her knees, arms wide open, as the children ran to her, not in fear but in joy. The Vatican may have built its walls for protection, but tonight those walls had opened. And a legacy far greater than any crown or throne had been born, one beating heart at a time. The rain had stopped, but the world still held its breath. Lucia knelt there, arms wrapped around children who smelled of dust and hunger. She didn't know their names, didn't know their stories, but she knew their eyes, wide, wounded, and somehow still burning with life. Above them, the statue of the open hands seemed almost to breathe. Somewhere deep within the Vatican, alarms would soon be raised. People would ask how the ancient gate had been opened, who had allowed strangers into a place so sacred. Questions would flood the halls. Doubts would rise like a tide. But not yet. For a few stolen moments, the garden was exactly as it was meant to be, a refuge, a heartbeat untouched by fear. Lucia knew she couldn't stay hidden for long. The children needed food, dry clothes, real shelter. She couldn't protect them alone. She stood, voice steady despite the tremor in her bones. "Come," she said, gesturing toward the covered walkway that led deeper into the old grounds. "We'll find warmth." The children followed without hesitation. In that instant, trust was born not from promises, but from presence. They moved quietly through forgotten corridors, past mosaics dulled by time and doorways sealed shut for centuries. Lucia remembered her training, the strict rules, the orders to preserve the sacredness of the old spaces. No unauthorized entry, no trespassing, no disruptions. But what could be holier than mercy? They found an old chapel, its roof cracked, but still standing. Lucia gathered the children there, using torn cloth from her own robes to dry their faces. She lit a single candle, its flame small but defiant against the heavy shadows. She whispered a prayer, not in Latin, not from a book, but from the raw place inside her that still believed light could outlast the dark. Footsteps echoed outside. Lucia froze. Voices, sharp, urgent Vatican guards. They were searching. They would not understand. They would see only broken rules, not broken souls. Her heart raced. She turned to the children, pressing a finger to her lips, silent, invisible for just a little longer. The footsteps grew louder. Lucia stood and faced the heavy wooden door, planting herself between the world and the children she had promised, without words to protect. The candle flickered, the door rattled, and then silence. The guards moved on, unaware that just beyond the ancient door, a revolution was breathing quietly into life. Lucia sank to her knees, relief and terror crashing. Through her in waves, she looked at the children, exhausted but safe, and realized something. She hadn't just opened the gate tonight. She had opened a future. One built not on fear, but on the stubborn, reckless belief that kindness still had a place in this. World morning broke over Vatican City like a slow, reluctant breath. The rain was gone, but its memory lingered in puddles and heavy clouds. Lucia barely slept. She kept watch over the children all night, heart pounding at every distant footstep, every groaning floorboard. Somehow, they had made it through. Somehow, they were still safe. But safety was temporary. By mid-morning, the news spread through. The inner circles, unauthorized entry, ancient gate found ajar, signs of intrusion into restricted grounds. The walls of Vatican bureaucracy were waking up, and they would demand answers. Lucia knew she had little time. She knelt beside the oldest boy, a dark-eyed child named Samir, and pressed a piece of bread into his hands. "Stay together," she whispered. "No matter what happens, stay together." Then she rose, straightened her soaked robes, and stepped out into the blinding morning light. Waiting for her were 3 men in black uniforms, members of the Vatican's internal security. Their faces were carved from stone. "Name," one barked. "Lucia." "Caravaggio," she replied, voice steady. "You were seen entering the restricted gardens last night. You are in violation of Vatican protocols." Lucia said nothing. She could feel the weight of the children's stares behind her. The silent plea, "Don't leave us." Another officer stepped forward. "You are ordered to report immediately to the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. You will answer for your actions." Lucia nodded once. Then softly, she said, "I will come, but I won't come alone." Confusion flickered across the guards' faces. Lucia stepped aside, and the children, shivering, dirty, eyes wide, stepped into view. The silence that followed was absolute. For a long, suspended moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then one guard muttered under his breath, "My God, they're just kids." Another shifted awkwardly, his grip loosening on his baton. The lead officer hesitated. Procedure was clear. Remove the intruder, restore order. But what was protocol when the intruder carried hope in her arms? Lucia squared her shoulders. "If you take me," she said, voice rising, "then you take them too. If you charge me, you charge them. If you silence me, you silence them." She waited, daring them. Somewhere high above, bells began to ring. Not the frantic bells of alarm, but the slow, solemn peals that called Rome to morning prayer. One guard lowered his eyes. Another turned away. The leader stepped back, gaze lingering on the smallest child, a girl no older than 5, clutching a ragged stuffed rabbit. "We're not monsters," he said quietly. "But this is bigger than us." Lucia nodded, heart breaking and mending all at once. She had broken the rules. That was undeniable. But maybe, just maybe, she had mended something far more important, something the rules had long forgotten. The meeting was called at dawn, inside the marble halls of the Apostolic Palace. Cardinals and officials gathered behind closed doors. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Lucia sat alone at the far end of the table, her robes still damp, her eyes unblinking. On the table before her lay 2 items, the torn letter Pope Francis had once entrusted to her, and a simple photograph, a snapshot someone had taken that morning showing Lucia with the children in the old chapel. The prefect of doctrine stood first, his crimson robe sweeping the floor. His voice was cold, measured. "Sister Lucia Caravaggio," he began, "you are charged with trespassing into restricted grounds, unlawful entry into sacred property, and bringing outsiders into a place protected by centuries of tradition." A murmur ran through the room, some in agreement, others shifting uncomfortably. Lucia didn't flinch. She had already made her peace. Whatever came next, she would face it. Then, an older cardinal, his face lined with both age and kindness, rose slowly from his seat. "And what of the children?" he asked, voice soft but carrying across the marble. Silence. No one answered. The prefect cleared his throat. "Their presence is unfortunate, yet compassion must not override the security of the Holy See." Lucia's hands clenched under the table. She stood, trembling but firm. "Compassion," she said, her voice breaking into the stillness, "is the very foundation of the Church. Without it, your walls mean nothing. Your titles mean nothing. Your history means nothing." The room erupted in whispers, some faces turning away, others hardening into stone. Lucia took a breath, steadying herself. "Those children," she continued, "are not invaders. They are the reason this place was built in the first place. If the Church turns them away, it turns away Christ himself." For a long, agonizing moment, no one moved. Then, from the shadows near the entrance, an unexpected figure emerged. It was Cardinal Benedetti, one of Pope Francis's closest confidants. He had been silent since the Pope's passing, a ghost among the living. Today, he spoke. Pope Francis once said, Benedetti's voice shook slightly, that mercy must always outrun judgment. Always. He placed a hand gently on Lucia's shoulder. I vote for mercy. One by one, the others were forced to choose. Some voted with heavy hearts, others with anger, resentment. But when the final tally was read aloud, Lucia could barely breathe. It was close, painfully close. But mercy had won. By a single vote. Lucia collapsed into her chair, tears she hadn't dared shed streaming down her cheeks. The prefect, defeated but composed, gave a curt nod. The children will stay, you will stay. But you will bear the burden of what you have started. Lucia looked up, chest burning, heart full. I accept, she whispered. And outside, in the broken garden under the pale light of morning, laughter and bright, reckless, beautiful, rose into the Roman sky. What about you? After hearing this story, we'd love to know. What would you have done if you were in Lucia's place? Would you have followed the strict rules, or listened to the quiet voice of compassion inside your heart? These moments, where choices aren't easy, show us who we really are. Please take a moment to leave a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from and share your thoughts. No judgment, no right or wrong answers here. We believe every voice matters, and every perspective adds to the story we're building together. And if this story touched something deep inside you, even just a little, we hope you'll consider subscribing so you don't miss the next journey we'll take together. Tomorrow brings a new chapter, a new question to explore. Until then, thank you for being part of this beautiful, brave community where kindness still has a place and stories still have the power to change the world.